Today, we're back on the road to 1 billion gold. I'm going to talk about what I've been up to since the last episode a couple of weeks ago and what my plans are going forward in Dragonflight, as I'm hoping to repeat something I did in Shadowlands, which is going to make me hundreds of millions of gold profit. Overall, I'm sitting at just over 850 million raw gold as of this morning. That is only around a 10 million gold increase in what I had in the last episode just over 2 weeks ago. 10 million gold over 2 weeks isn't great for me at all, but that's been because I've been on vacation in all that time and missed 8 to 9 days. So realistically, this is about a week and 10 million gold, so that's sort of okay for me. Usually I'd show you some TSM data to show you exactly what I've been buying and selling, but at the moment it's still not registering the majority of sales, so the data is useless, but hopefully I can get back to giving you more details like I used to soon enough. Since last time, I've only been concentrating on engineering as a profession and carried on pumping out ammo, scopes and engineering parts. The profits on these are dropping now, and this was happening before I released a video on it earlier this week, but that probably didn't help things. That being said, this is still really worth my effort at the moment. Basically, it's just hours of AFK farming anyway, so I will carry on doing this, but I feel the day is approaching when I walk away from it and concentrate on other gold making methods, like what I'm mainly going to be talking about in this video. We are looking at something I did in Shadowlands several times, as it's relevant to what I'm doing going forward in Dragonflight. I do apologise to any long-term viewers, as I have talked about this before in this series, but we have a significant number of new people around here in the last few months. When you buy something on the auction house to resell for a higher price, this can be a great way to make some gold. Loads of people do this on a daily basis. The problem with this is that a lot of people can see how much something is listed for on many other servers, or they use pricing data like with TSM. Now, these numbers that you get are not amazingly accurate, but what it does is make it really obvious to people who you are selling to if you are listing for well above what it is elsewhere, and makes it harder for you to get a sale. One of the main reasons I set myself up on every server was to be able to do this process across the entire EU and US. When you buy huge quantities of something over time, like a cosmetic, across many servers and relist them at high prices, that pushes up pricing data for all of these for things like TSM region market values. But does it work, and more importantly, can you sell these at the new higher prices? You can see here the undermined journal entries for construct shoulder plates between October 21 and January 22. The quantities available on the auction house remain fairly consistent over the time period, but you can see here the price has increased by about 100k or about 50% over that time. What has happened here is that I've bought the cheapest of these across both regions every week and relisted them at a much higher price. Now, I do get some sales at these much higher prices, but they are slow, and that's not the goal here yet. Over time, you can get a huge amount of control of the market. This is the data for the construct shoulder plates. The blue line is the price, and the red one is the amount available on the auction house. You can see between September 21 and January 22, I was concentrating on pushing up the price, and you can see this clearly here on the graph. Once I reached what I thought was the highest realistic selling price, I stopped pushing up the price and started selling. You can see since then the price has remained fairly consistent, increasing slightly in the last few months when I pushed up the price a little bit more now that Shadowlands is over and there are less of these coming into the game. It's funny that when you have so much control over a market that whenever you go on vacation and are not posting your auctions anymore, you can clearly see this on the quantity available on the auction house. Both of these yellow circles were me not posting my auctions for about a week, and you can see that the amount available across the entire region dropped by almost 50% for that time period. The green circles is Dragonflight release, and you can see no one bothered listing auctions as we were all too busy playing. This is my overall history with this one item. You can see in the bottom right I've purchased 243 of these at just over 3.9 million gold, so that works out at about 16k each average. In the bottom middle, you can see I've sold 77 of these for around 16 million gold, so that's an average sale of around 210k. That gives me a profit of 12.1 million, with 166 of these left to sell. If I sold them all at the average price I've sold them for so far, I would be looking at around 50 million gold profit for this one item. After I had so much success with the more expensive cosmetics, I decided to try running a little community project to try and let you guys cash in and make loads of gold from this as well. The idea was that we would do the same thing with some of the cheaper cosmetics from Corphia. I did a video, people could post their server and I would leave their servers to them, but I would buy up every other server's cosmetics across the entire EU and US. After a month or so, some people wanted out when they didn't get the quick results they wanted, so I bought all their cosmetics up as well, took over their server and paid them the price that they'd paid originally. This is the Oribus exchange info from the day before I released that video. You can see that at this point you can pick these up for under 5k each quite easily. This isn't the same item, but this is in January 2023, and you can see here the price has increased by over 10 times, and I'm regularly selling these at 100k each now as well. Those that kept the faith and stayed with their investments from the original video are in a really strong position now to make lots of gold. If we look at my TSM data for this cosmetic, you can see I have 1062 purchases for 4.5 million gold, which averages at just over 4,200 gold each. You can see here I've made 174 sales at just over 9.4 million gold, so that's 54,000 gold as an average sale, so that's over 10 times my gold I'm making on my current average purchase versus my average sale. To give you some sort of indication of how many of these I currently have, there are usually around 250 to 275 of these on the auction house across the entire EU and US put together. I have almost 900 of these sat in banks etc. waiting to sell. If I sold all of the stock I have remaining at the average price that I've been selling them for here, then that would be making me around 52 million gold profit on this one item. There were a total of 18 of these cosmetic items that I did this for from Corphia alone and that I'm selling on a daily basis. That was basically a quick overview of what I have done with several cosmetic transmog pieces before, basically buying the cheapest up slowly across every EU and US server to get a huge control of the market, push prices up over time, create a little bit of artificial scarcity in some cases, and then make some massive profits. What does all this have to do with Dragonflight then, and what are my plans moving forward? Dragonflight introduced a huge amount of new cosmetic items into the game that come from various drops. I haven't done a proper count, but it's somewhere in the region that there's around 80 to 100 of these. This obviously means that we have the potential here to repeat the process that I've done before with these cosmetics and hopefully make hundreds of millions of gold profit in the long term here as well. Now when Dragonflight ends, the supply of these cosmetics is going to decrease dramatically when everyone moves to the new expansion. This is exactly what we want. Like with the Shadowlands cosmetics before it, we want a huge reduction in supply as any stock we're holding onto then becomes more valuable. People still want the cosmetics when the next expansion comes. The supply drops off dramatically as no one is playing Dragonflight anymore. Over time, they get rarer and rarer as players buy them up and use them. The value goes up. This would all happen naturally without us even interfering in the market and trying to manipulate prices. So why am I looking at this now then and not at the end of the expansion? The reason is if you want to get the best possible deals and pick these up as cheap as possible, it's best to get involved as soon as possible. It's like with the White Transmog video I released a few days ago, saying that it's way too late to be investing in those markets now. Anything that was worth flipping was picked up ages ago. A month before Dragonflight ends, you'll see a flood of videos telling you to invest in these items, and this isn't necessarily a bad idea, but people like me will already have been buying them up for the last 18 months or so at that point, and I would have been paying a fraction of the price that you'll be paying for them then. Basically then you can make significantly more gold getting involved early, but there are risks associated with that. The main risk is you simply do not know how rare these items are going to be at the start of an expansion. For example, the Tuskar cosmetics seem to be fairly rare to me, and I started picking these up, but I did have concerns that these may not have been as rare as they seemed. If these dropped from the Tuskar box things that you unlock when you get high reputation, then these seem rare at the start of the expansion because nobody has that rep. But as more and more people unlock the reputation to be able to loot the boxes, then these can go from being super rare to super common and absolutely worthless. Things being too common is the biggest issue when you're trying to do this sort of thing. If there are 10 plus of these on every single server, then it's going to take so much more effort to get control and maintain control of that market. That is pretty much what I'm in the process of doing at the minute. I have identified which of these new cosmetics I'm going to be targeting, and I've started picking up ones on the cheap. Basically, we are in the really early phases of what I did with the Corphia transmog. I'm not even really trying to push prices up or anything like that yet. It's way too early for that. But hopefully this is going to be something else that develops into another project that's going to be 100 million gold plus profit. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.